We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
I may not be a millionaire. I may not have a brand new Frigidaire. My clothes ain't all fancy, and my car ain't brand new. But there is joy in my house.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Joy in My House, inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. A reality radio show where nothing is left unsaid and no one who says it is insignificant. Today, I am missing my co-host, Lolita Robinson. She's at home taking care of her mother, and she had a long night at the hospital, but she's okay. So our prayers and our thoughts are with her. So I hope that you're doing okay, Lolita. I hope that you're getting some rest and that your mother has a speedy recovery. But I would like to recap last week's show. Last week we had an amazing guest by the name of David Zahler from Operation Integrity, and it was very interesting to have him come on the show and talk about this Christian 12-step program, because there is a lot of Christian 12-step programs out there. I'm part of a Celebrate Recovery program. Celebrate Recovery is out of Saddleback Church, and I'm in my third step study, and it has given me 5 years of sobriety, so it is the foundation to my staying sober. But also working on the emotional and internal part of my recovery as well. So it was a blessing to have David Zahler here from Operation Integrity. If you want to know more information, you can find him at operationintegrity.org and find out more information about his books and his material that he has to offer for those of you who are looking for some type of Christian 12-step program. Also, I want to thank you guys out there, all the viewers and listeners, for being part of the joy that we have in our house here on Joy in My House. You can find us on Facebook /Joy in My House. You can also tweet us. We want you guys to engage out there. Tell us the joy. Tell us some of the praise reports in your life on our tweets. Twitter.com /Joy in My House. For those of you who are watching us right now, you're watching us on www.latalklivenetwork.com. That is a studio network, and they have an array of shows here, ladies and gentlemen. So check out the rest of the shows. You have over 40 shows here on this network, and it's a very fast and growing network. So become a part of us by tweeting us on latalklive.com /Twitter, and give us some of your responses and some of your comments. We appreciate them and we welcome them. Also know that our studio line is open with any questions and comments. The number here is 323-247-7443. With any questions or comments throughout the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Also, I want to let you guys out there know, if you're just listening to us on iTunes or any one of their mobile devices, you can stream us live and watch us as well on ustream.tv /LATalkLive or ustream.tv /Joy in My House. We have an amazing show for you today on this Memorial Day weekend. I hope that all of you guys are staying safe out there and being cautious. You know, this is a great time to celebrate and to remember all of our soldiers and what they've done for our country and our freedoms. But also, we would like you guys to also stay safe as well here. We have a great show for you today. I'm very excited. We have a great guest by the name of Travis Davis and his friend John. They have a great testimony, great testimony of forgiveness, something you're not going to want to miss, ladies and gentlemen. I want you guys to engage with us out there. If you're listening or viewing us, send us a tweet on twitter.com /Joy in My House. Find us on Facebook /Joy in My House. I want you guys to engage with us as much as you can. I also wanted to tune in with my producer here, Van Eric. Welcome to another Sunday of Joy in My House. Van, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm blessed, and thank you for letting me be a part of Joy in My House today. Yes, I hope Lolita and her mother recovers. I miss her already. I'm so used to having her here.
Same here.
It's because I haven't memorized her line, so I started to try to see it, but you did a great job doing that. And yes, today is tomorrow Memorial Day. This is the Memorial Day weekend, and
well, Van, I want to say Memorial Day weekend too. Happy Memorial Day weekend too, because you are a veteran.
Yes, thank you. I am. Yeah, but I also want to say thank you to all the other vets, because there's one vet helping another. So I do appreciate the vets out there because they helped me stay alive when I was there. as well. So
And I wanted to talk about, we had a great event this past week. I believe it's this past week. I don't know my weeks anymore. At the Women of War launch event in Beverly Hills with Deborah Hader as a publicist and Phil Valentine's. He was a writer and producer of this amazing documentary.
yeah.
What did you think of the event?
Oh man, it was a great event. It really let me know what part I played when I was in the military, and
Right.
did I not knowingly, you know, not sexually abuse any of the women soldier, but just being abusive. It made me go back to a time when I was in a parade and it had just stopped raining, and we were standing in formation. I was standing on my right was a woman soldier. So I was standing in a somewhat dry spot, and she was standing in a puddle of water. So she asked me to change positions. So I looked at her and said, "Well, you're not a woman. You're a soldier.
Wow.
You volunteered to be in that place." And and then looking back, I was like, "Well, dag, I felt kind of bad. I feel kind of bad now for doing that, because." The way I approached the matter. So,
Yeah, it's funny how we perceive things from our perspective, and then when it's put on like, especially on video, like this documentary is a heavy documentary about the
yes,
sexual abuse that happens in the military, and how we kind of sweep it under the rug. Oh, that's not really happening, or it's not as
yeah,
bad as people think. But it's pretty awful what really goes on sometimes in that type of situation and circumstance.
it is. And I'm glad that we are starting to look upon it as a serious matter, and a lot of people are trying to do and are doing some things. Like, for example, starting next week, June the 8th at 1:30, it will be launched a new show called Trench Talk. It's about veterans, for veterans, and veterans will be running the show along with myself and a few other veterans that I met at the event are dying to participate in this show, so that we can have another voice, another way of letting people know how serious this matter is, the war on women.
Well, I think it's going to bring a lot of awareness and a lot of education to you guys out there. So please tune into the new show that starts next week. What's the name of the show and what time again, Van?
It's called Trench Talk, and on Saturdays at 1:30 p.m. That's Pacific Standard Time. For the first month of June, that one Saturday on June, we're just going to do it that one time. But the following month in July, every Saturday, then on, it will be every week.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned on www.latalklive.com. And again, I want to thank you guys for the listeners and viewers out there who are supporting our show and supporting the network. Please continue to support. Please continue to view. Send in your questions and comments. We love to hear from you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in My House, and we'll be right back.
How can I forget you? Where did the sweetness go, Lord? Have I fallen from your hand? Am I so far from you, Lord? Is my life in your plan? Where can I run when I feel all alone? Do my words truly reach you high on your throne? Where did your presence go, Lord? Have forget you. For I want you to know that I love you so. Ain't all fancy, and my car ain't brand new, but there is joy in my house.
Hello, I'm Joel Ramirez
And I'm Lolita Robinson Coppage, and welcome to Joy in My House
on LATalkLive.com. Inspirational radio,
with a touch of recovery.
a reality show where nothing is left unsaid,
And no one is insignificant who says it.
exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Julie Orlov, inviting you to join us every Friday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our all-new show, Pathways to Love. Join us as we talk about love and relationships and how you can create the relationships you desire. So don't forget to tune in to Pathways to Love every Friday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
My hope is built on nothing less than
Welcome back, ladies
Jesus.
and gentlemen, to Joy in My House, inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. I'm joined here by a great in-studio guest, Travis Davis. Travis, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having us.
No, thank you for coming out here. I met you through your wife. Your wife was on our show, and she had an amazing testimony. And to have the opportunity to hear her testimony and then mention you and how part of her testimony was meeting you.
Yes, it was. She did a wonderful job on the show.
She really did.
Very brave, and God has really closed some chapters, and I believe this was part of that.
Wow.
And has really, we experience joy in our house every day due to the Lord's redemption. Yeah.
Wow. And then having that opportunity to meet your wife and hear her testimony, and then her mention you and about your recovery, and then having an opportunity to talk to you. You have an amazing story, and that's why you're here today. So I want to thank you for your faithfulness and thank you for your bravery on coming on the show and having to share your story, because I think people take this, I don't know if people take it lightly, but I think some people say, oh yeah, go on the show, go tell your story. But it's a lot of stuff that we carry, that we give exposure to, and we're open up to scrutiny, and we're open up to people kind of judging us because of it. But through God's grace, this is something that's part of my recovery, I believe. How do you feel about that?
Well, I believe there's definitely a sense of vulnerability coming on a show, in a format to where you don't know who's on the other side,
Right.
who's listening. But with that comes a chance to grow in your faith and trust that God's got the right people that are going to hear this show today. I've had a chance to, me and my wife have both had a chance to share a little bit of our story with the church congregation, not just the recovery congregation. And there too was a sense of vulnerability, because anytime you step outside of the people who you're comfortable with, that guard comes up.
And I want to thank you for saying that, because that's so important for you listeners and viewers out there who are tuning in. Know that we're trying to be as transparent as we can. We're not trying. We're being very transparent. And we hope that this brings you some hope and inspiration, because the show was designed to bring that hope and inspiration to you guys that are out there listening and viewing. And to us, it gives us strength and hope with the people that come and minister to one another. So I think it's so important.
Yes, I agree. One thing that God has given me is a powerful testimony for me to overcome and to let those around me overcome as well. So.
Well, let's get into it. Like I said,
Okay.
I met you through your wife, Heidi, who was on the show and mentioned about your recovery. And we're going to start with your family of origin. Where'd you grow up?
The majority of growing up was in Laguna Beach, the tough streets of Orange County, and I grew up there from the 5th grade to about 10th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what to say if that's where I've started, like I didn't fit in, because Laguna Beach is a very wealthy community.
Mm-hmm.
We were on the outskirts of Laguna Beach, and just never felt like my household was the same as everybody else's at the school.
Well, that's interesting for you to say, because I think a lot of children, when they change locations or when they're traveling a lot, they never feel that they fit in because of that.
Yeah. And as I get older, I do realize, especially with the step studies, where you go back to your childhood,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the present. You work through all that stuff that each household deals with the same struggles.
Right. Right. There is no difference.
There's not much difference at all. So I'm glad to be a part of this side now, and not the side who dealt with life unhealthy.
Right. Well, let's talk about some of that unhealthiness, because I think it's important that people relate to you as well.
Yeah.
Now, how was your home growing up? What was it like growing up? Were you with your mother, your father? Elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, as far as my memory serves me, and from what I've been told, my original parents were divorced at a young age. I think I was about 3.
Mm-hmm.
So my household from 3 on to 15 was very chaotic, in the sense that I had a mom who was only allowed in the picture so often.
Mm-hmm.
I had a stepmother who I seemed like my real mother, but wasn't, biologically, by all the rules. And so it was very confusing. Very confusing. And then
was there any dysfunction in the home? Was there any acting out in the home?
Yeah, I would have to say, a lot of my memories mixed with good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
There was, I remember a lot of police cars.
Wow, okay.
Throughout the years. Each different household has a different set of memories.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that stand out are the acts of violence, or the alcoholic rages that we had to endure, and never knowing what side to take. Do I feel compassion for my father? Do I feel pity or compassion for my mom, who I felt would antagonize things, or not knowing why this was all occurring? And that
must be very confusing, especially at your age.
Oh yeah, I'm talking age, from 8 and up. Before I moved to Laguna Beach, there was the households that were just chaotic. And yeah, it's very confusing.
Now, so eventually you came out to Laguna Beach. Who were you living with when you came out to Laguna?
I was living with my father and my stepmother, who they were together for about 13 years.
Oh, so that's a good amount of time.
It was a good amount of time, and don't ask me how they stayed together. They just endured each other, I believe, and that relationship ended. It ended abruptly, and it was going south for quite a long time. My older brother left the house and lived with friends, and then me and my little brother, we were there, but when everything split up, and my father found a new relationship out in Palmdale, California, he and we lost the house. we lost the house, and us three boys had to find. We were given options that none of us liked, of course. After growing up in beautiful Laguna Beach, we ended up having to either go to the pretty much some point of the desert, Palm Desert, Palmdale Desert, Mojave Desert, and it's like, gosh, after you've
lived in Laguna Beach,
been so blessed to live in such a beautiful place, how do you choose that? And all three of us boys were split up. I tried to hash it out in Laguna for several months, living with friends.
And how old were you at this time?
I was a freshman in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, a freshman in high school.
So you had to grow up very quickly.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think I grew up very quickly, period. I mean, I've always had that same sense of, I felt like I've been the same young man, with compassion and understanding, and for a long time, and it's just funny how my head has told me, you don't belong, you're not that great,
Right.
But yet I run into old friends, that knew me back then, and they say completely different stuff. And
Wow, it's our perception of
it's
ourselves.
Our perception that just gets me, But,
Now, I wanted to talk about your stepmother.
Uh-huh.
So once you guys got separated, how was your relationship with your stepmother?
It ended up non-existent. She was just gone. Drugs and alcohol played a big part of that, and then obviously the devastation, her three boys, everything, when you build your identity around a house, that all that stuff can be taken away.
And when it is, you're
lost.
Yeah.
You're lost, heartbroken, all the stuff that comes with that.
So I have here in my notes that you went to live with your biological mom at 15 years old.
Yeah, she was, I hate to say it, but she was the closest thing to the beach. She lived in Long Beach, and my stepfather, God rest his soul, a wonderful man, opened their doors to me.
Wow.
They opened their doors to me, and my little sister Carly had just been born. And it was a great opportunity for me to get to know my biological mom, and also be a part of my little sister's life, who I cherish to this day. And we have a great relationship due to that one decision, obviously orchestrated by the man upstairs, who at the time I did not know.
And that's what was going to be my next question. How was your faith at the time?
Faith at my time was actually non-existent. It was actually rebellious. I didn't have a God. My whole pattern in my life has been to kind of act out in anger. So if there was a God who's doing all this terrible stuff in my life, I'm definitely going to be. I'm already receiving hell on earth.
Right.
So why not, go that way,
If your viewers out there and listeners out there can relate, call in. Let us know what's going on in your lives. Let us find some of the joy that you have in your house while going through these amazing circumstances that sometimes it's unfathomable. Sometimes you can't fathom how deep these scars really go from these small steps that other people might perceive as, oh, you're just moving, you're just relocating.
Yeah.
But you travel with those scars.
Yeah, that's a great point, Joel. And anytime you sit down and discuss this with somebody and put it all down into formation, it's hard for me to fathom that this was my life. That this is what shaped me.
But I think it's also, like you said, it's because you're also on the other side. You have this peace to look back at that hurricane or that tornado, and then being able to have the peace that you do now. It can only be by God's grace. It's amazing.
It is really amazing that, they say the scripture says that God makes all things work together for those that believe in his son, and he's definitely shaped me. Out of all those things, I've become a strong leader. My faith today, have knowing such a dark time, and knowing how many people, whether it be man, father, mother, friends, Christians, that they're gonna fail me.
Yeah.
You know, uh, they're gonna fail me, but there's one person who's not. You know, and that's who I build my relationship every day. I try to, talk to Jesus and build that relationship, because that's one that's not gonna fail me.
That's so true. I remember going to Monday night solutions out at Mariners Church, and John Townsend, I think it was John,
Yeah, great
said
speaker.
something, and he said, look at your partner, and tell them you're gonna hurt them. You don't intend to hurt them. You don't want to hurt them. That is not what you're trying to do, but you will hurt them because it's part of our human nature.
Yeah.
Only God is gonna be our sustainer. And that was at that time. I mean, you're talking about 7-8 years ago. I didn't understand it. No, I don't want this person to hurt me. How can I? No, this is not right.
I'm gonna change.
But people are not gods. They're not
Yeah.
perfect. And I found that out through my life experiences going on and on, that, people are not perfect, and they're not going to do everything to fulfill my needs. Only God does that.
Yes.
And it's amazing that you're saying that now through your testimony, because you had a great opportunity to go to France.
Yes, I did. Through my background, I ended up going in and out of jails and institutions, and through that, I met a wonderful lady who just saw something in me, and she was a criminal attorney, of all things.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
she was a criminal attorney, and she was representing a girlfriend of mine, and we obviously corresponded back and forth, and we became great friends. And this lady she would always trust me. She would trust me 100%. She would encourage me, and she would always point out the great things in me, which at that time I didn't have.
Right.
And she made me, want to be better than who I was at that time, who I knew I could be, but didn't know how to bring it out, And she saw an opportunity to send me to France with some friends of hers for maybe an opportunity to work out there. And I've never been out of the country, so she helped me get my passport and just made everything possible, which was awesome, until at the time I was still active in my disease, and I ended up flying out there, and the whole time, I just felt uncomfortable. So the first place an alcoholic runs is to the bar. And they had bars there. It was a little town, Saint Wabin de Sol, down in the south of France. And, one thing they did have on each corner was little pubs, and I stayed consistently, I wouldn't say inebriated, but definitely had a couple beers in me, because there wasn't much else to do out there, so things didn't work out. And the longer things weren't working out there, the more I drank over it. I felt again like that kid in the dysfunctional household, because of people I was with up there. Things weren't getting along for them, so nothing went as planned.
Right.
And there was definitely anger and frustration in the air. And anytime that occurs, for me, I run to the alcohol to deal with it, because it just seems so natural.
Right.
And so, yeah,
being in reality, especially for addicts like myself, when real life hits, you want to act out, you want to run away from it, you don't want to face it because it's painful. It's painful to face it.
It's definitely painful, but if one's not ever taught how to face it,
right, no
the
tools.
process, no tools, no defense, no spiritual defense against attacks, then of course we're going to go to what we've taught ourselves, and that's substances, or whatever the addiction be. So alcohol got the best of me on that trip, and just as soon as alcohol hit my body, people that knew me knew that all bets were off. All bets were off, and I lost my voice as soon as I take a drink because of past occurrences. Just, I feel I'm in the right here, but if I have that alcohol, I lost my voice. And just the way it should be, because my past record shows that it can go 100% bad.
Right.
So,
Well, I would like to talk about this one. This is a very special situation and circumstance, and one that's significant in your life, and that is settling old grudges. I know that there was a dispute with one of your friends, one of a young lady that was your friend, and at the time she was also a friend of your girlfriend's at the time, I believe, and there was a dispute with her boyfriend.
yes.
Tell us a little bit about that story.
Oh, well, this is a turning point for me. And I, before I left to the France trip, it was me, my girlfriend, and another friend, and we were staying abstinent from drugs, and alcohol was okay for us, we thought back then, so as long as we were, and so we were a little support team. And she had met a gentleman at her work, and my girlfriend had wanted me to make sure he wasn't, going to influence her to make bad decisions again. So
you, as a protective father figure.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I that wasn't my concern. All I needed to hear from her was that she was okay. And through many phone conversations, it just escalated real quick when me and him got back and forth, and I was very short and rude with him, as the point of he was non-significant. Like I don't care who he was, who he's doing, what he's doing. I just want to make sure she's okay. And so that feelings were hurt. So words were started to be exchanged, but I just hung up, and I didn't care. I didn't want any part of whatever things were going on there. I just wanted to know that she was okay, so I could feel that situation was okay.
So what ends up happening is when you get back from France, you want to settle this old grudge.
Well, when I get back from France, there's some messages still on my phone, and after feeling I disappointed the lady who gave me so much encouragement and sent me to France hoping that I would do great things or really shine, and it didn't happen that way. So I felt here I've let somebody down. So I had a lot of rage and anger. So I felt it was a perfect time to deal with some of these threatening voicemails that I had, and so I called the number and arranged a meeting.
I like how you call it a meeting.
Yeah.
But this was to settle this grudge. You go down and visit him. Tell us what happens once you're there.
Well, I gave him a time of when I was going to be there, and it was kind of late in the night, and I didn't know how it was going to go. I was definitely prepared and ready. At that time, it's almost like a suicide mission. I was that hurt, that broken, that lost,
that disappointed,
that lost. It's a key word. I was lost and just in the darkness for sure. And we ended up meeting each other, and things went really bad.
Things went so bad that there was a couple of stabbings.
Yes.
On both parties.
Yes, and this was over nothing, but we exchanged stab wounds to each other, a lot of blood, a lot of chaos, and if you think back, it was, why did this happen? But I have reason today why it happened, Joel. I got reason today why it happened. It was right there. Was so black and white for me that everything in my life has progressed. Here, schoolyard fights, because you're frustrated and angry. then group fights, gang fights, whatever. But now here you're using knives. Things are definitely progressing, just like with smoking weed, then doing acid, or experimenting with alcohol, and all the drugs that progressed. They just everything.
It is a progression, yeah.
It is a progression. Juvenile hall to jail to prison. That's a progression. And here I was blind to it, but this one, almost taking a life and almost losing a life, definitely woke me up.
Because the other gentleman sustained some pretty serious stab wounds.
Yes.
Where he was then sent to a hospital, and he could have lost his life.
Yeah, as they came and found me. The police authorities came and found me a couple days later, and wanted to treat my wounds. And as they're walking me through there, they told me, your friend's here, and he's, at the time not my friend, but John's here, and he's not expected to make it. So
Wow.
You better cross your fingers.
Yeah, because then you would serve
I would be fighting. Yeah, I would have been fighting a life sentence.
life sentence.
And yeah, that's no fun.
Well, you did get arrested, and you did serve a jail sentence. How long was your jail sentence?
It ended up being 5 years with halftime. So, I served a little over 3 years.
And that is quite a bit for anybody who has not served any jail time out there. People right away will say, oh, just give them jail time. They don't know how severe and how significant that is in somebody's life. Now, most people, they go to prison and they come out worse off than they are. You, at that point, fell to your knees.
Yeah, after numerous trips to the penitentiary, and had experience coming out worse than I was before I went in. There's that progression again. Finally, I knew I was out of chances, and something had to change. I was on a lockdown situation because I wasn't behaving the whole time I was in there, and I was allowed one religious service a week to leave my cell, to leave my dorm, and I chose to go just to get out. And I witnessed some of these guys who never getting out, with so much joy in their house, so much joy,
Wow.
praising the Lord. And here I am, getting out in a year, and I'm miserable. What did they have that I didn't? They had the Lord. They had the trust in the Lord. They knew the Lord, that he was going to redeem them. He was going to set them free, behind them prison walls. And they took me under their wing. Just, and that had to be the start of a good pattern of asking another man for help, guidance.
And it took you going to prison to do that.
Oh, yeah, it took me. I was so stubborn, and thought I had everything under control. That's where it led me. And
let's talk about when you got out, finding your program.
Oh, yeah, I was baptized inside the penitentiary.
Wow.
And had heard so many. That's a story in itself. Well, let me tell you, I had heard so many sayings about leaving your Bible at the gate. As you cross the gate to get out to freedom, you leave your Bible there. While you're in there, you're going to study it all you want. But I myself,
heard that too.
Yeah, I myself studied it the last 3 months and took it with me, and I still have that Bible to this day. And I started going to Saddleback with some family friends once again. At that first weekend, I stepped foot into a Capitol Beach Calvary, and I felt the Lord hit me. The Holy Spirit hit me, and my eyes just watered up because here I'm outside, and I made it, and I know this is where I'm supposed to be. So at the first service at Saddleback Church, I reading the pamphlet and find a Celebrate Recovery, a step study. That's immediately following every Sunday after the first service. So, not having a car, not having nothing, I was able to just go with my family friends, get dropped off, and, have the Lord find somebody else to pick me up,
Wow.
And
So you joined the step study.
I did. One of the best decisions I've ever made. Gave me accountability. This step study actually lasted quite a long time, almost 2 years.
Almost 2, because a normal step study, if you don't know out there, it's about a year and a couple months. Even a year and 3 months is a long one, so it lasted.
This one went on very long. We had a large group, but right there gave me, I told you as a child, not having that sense of belonging for the house.
Right.
Here I'm in with men of all varieties, all statures, and hearing them share an open format like that, and then being interested in what I have to say, and then finding out that it all stems from the same stuff, but the answer is the same as well, that it's all in the Lord, but there's a process,
There is thank you.
I had a sense of belonging, like a sense of, wow, I can be this man in that suit, a CEO of a company. He's dealt with the same stuff I've dealt with. I just chose to deal with my hurts different. He chose to deal with his different, but there's the same level of hurt.
Right.
And so
and
that
there's the same level of healing too in Christ.
Amen. There is.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we are going to talk about John's recovery, his process, and coming back face to face with his, I don't want to say victim, but the same person that you got sentenced to go to jail. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in My House. I want you to stay tuned. We'll be right back.
He didn't have a silver spoon, but he ruled the sun, the stars, and the moon. The promise turned away, said, a king in the barn, that's the day. Oh, what's this kid gonna do? I'll be the savior of me and you. Huh. A little did they know how God runs his show. He takes the faithful and the few, with 2 fish he fed the multitudes. Don't be deceived, 'cause there's a miracle you might not see in the eyes of a child or a peasant with bills piled high. Rejoice, look at me, I got myself a brand new life. Rejoice, things ain't been the same since I met Jesus Christ. Rejoice, stand and scratch your head, you don't even have to ponder twice. Rejoice, it's up to you. Rejoice, it's up to you. Rejoice, oh, what you gonna do? Come on, y'all, rejoice. He blew them all away. On the 3rd day he rose from the grave. From a baby to a man, to the Savior with scars on his hand. He did his very best. On the 7th day he took a rest. Every knee shall bow, every tongue will confess he's Lord. Heaven is the throne, the place he calls his home. He's powerful and he rules, the earth is his footstool.
Welcome back to Joy in My House, ladies and gentlemen. Inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. A reality radio show where nothing is left unsaid and no one who says it is insignificant. I'm joined here by our in-studio guest, Travis Davis, and his friend John. John, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Well, if you're just joining us right now, Travis was explaining about him finding CR right out of prison and coming in contact with the same person that sent him to prison or got sent to prison for, because of the situation. John, I want to say once again, welcome to the show and thank you for coming on the show and being faithful and sharing your story. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up.
Well, I was born in Anaheim, but then my family got divorced, and I went out to Boston with my dad, where I grew up out there for a while, and so I was out there till about 11.
Till about 11. Now, how was your household?
My dad was definitely an alcoholic, a lot of rage, but it's what I grew up seeing, pretty. But he took care of us, and he fed us, and but there was definitely a lot of alcohol and lack of family.
But he was a sustainer. He provided.
Yes,
he was a provider. Now, did you deal with any of the repercussions of being in an alcoholic family, did you take to alcohol, drugs, or anything of that nature?
Definitely. I couldn't wait till I was like able to be part of that and enjoy that with my family, and felt like I was part of, because that's kind of what they did.
And you mentioned that feeling a part of it. So
right. So that was like I felt like you were a man. So I was drinking with my dad, and once I got to that point, and
now your life also got chaotic because of the alcoholism, and
right.
I mean you're talking about in and out of jail as well.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's very correct.
And was it for violent crimes? Was it for possession? What would you say was kind of?
I've had both of them. I have violence and possession. Due to being out of my mind and just basically staying on a roller coaster of using and just being part of that lifestyle.
But something changed you, right?
Something did change me.
So you had a circumstance in your life where you had to drop to your knees. That was your youngest daughter.
Yes.
Social services, I believe, is what I have here.
Yeah. October 6, 2011, my house, actually, they became and raided my house, and they took my daughter. So, I consider her definitely my hero. Social services took her. That was a day that, my wife went one way, I went one way, and my daughter went to Orangewood.
Wow.
And it was the worst day of my life, but also the best. And the most recovery came from it, and healing. But that was the day I was broken, and I hit my knees. I was actually in the county jail. I shouldn't say I hit my knees, because I still wasn't able to do that in front of people at the time. But I said a prayer out loud to the Lord in my cell, and boy, did He answer it.
Wow.
So
that is amazing, because when you got out,
mm-hmm.
your girlfriend at the time's parents,
right,
welcomed you in.
Yes, yeah. As much as I tried to probably ruin relationships and kind of just start over every time, they wouldn't let me go, and they accepted me and brought me back. So.
Wow. Now I want to get back to Travis, because this story, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening in, I mean, my heart just is beating so fast, because I see the forgiveness, I see the redemption, and I see God's grace throughout you guys' lives, throughout your lives, and I know that He's been that for me. And it was my daughter too, my youngest daughter, Zaylee, who just turned 8 on Thursday, that made me want to change my life. Her not being a part of my life consistently dropped me to my knees. Now, Travis, you're in CR. You have about 8 months of sobriety in program.
Yeah.
And who walks in?
It was that special Thanksgiving night, and
Thanksgiving
night.
How God orchestrates. I can't. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but how God orchestrates, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing, and there's no denying it. If I would deny it, I would. I just, for as stubborn as I am, I still couldn't deny it. In walks his wife and himself.
Wow.
I think they had their daughter with them. And I was like, wow, here we go. Here is everything I've been taught through CR. One of those moments you don't know what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have saw him on the street without the support of my CR family, without being in a church at the time,
mm-hmm.
All those factors God knew I needed around for me and for him, I believe, to forgive each other. To know that we were just collateral damage of our upbringing,
mm-hmm.
of our choices.
Because you did mention that. You mentioned about tools. Having the tools of how to deal with real life situations.
Yes.
Especially this encounter where there might be a lot of resentment, a lot of hurt on both parties. How did you feel when you saw Travis?
Basically, I was so tired, and he was kind of a resentment that I didn't even know was really a resentment at the time. And when I walked up to him, he said, do you, I kind of really, I still remember it clearly. He said, do you think it's a coincidence that we met in God's house? And that
gives me chills.
Yeah. And then he gave me a hug, and from where I've been, that was just a different thing for a new change in life. And,
mm-hmm.
and now we're sitting here together, and there's many, it's just amazing, really.
It really is, because, God was showing you a lot of grace. Yes. with your girlfriend's family welcoming you in after you coming out of jail, for them coming in and I mean, just if that's not God, I don't know what is.
Yes, it's definitely God involved, but then again, it's their actions,
Yeah,
knowing
willingness,
the Lord, their willingness to follow, uh, to follow the Lord, to be a true Christian, to, not to just leave it at church. They took it home with them, and that there is what it's all about, and to extend it to those around you, to family, to the hurt, and to see the best in them and not to give up, not to give up to. The Lord never gives up on us. He never gives up on us.
Now, you guys now share your story together. Now, I'm assuming that now even the relationship beyond the forgiveness has grown.
It's amazing. It's amazing that we would be sitting here next to each other, sharing God's story in our life. We were in a step study together, which is, God's. So we get to understand each other now. We get to understand why we were the way we were. And, we have so many similarities, that it's so, I mean, there's no reason why. I mean, it's very self-evident of why we acted the way we did and we collided the way we did, because our thoughts and our actions were so the same. Due to the brokenness, that God said, here's 2 gems. Let's just, crack the crust off them and get them to pay attention. And he did what he had to do for John. He did it for me,
Well, to let everybody know, the story that Travis just told for the woman he was trying to just kind of take care of at that time and just oversee was your girlfriend,
Yes.
which is now your wife.
She's my wife, yes.
Which is the girl that you have a young baby with. We
have a 7-month-old that we've had actually during our recovery, and then with Ariana, my 5-year-old, we have two baby girls, and then the whole social service case ends in 3 days. It's closed, and on my birthday. He always lands on those holidays, it seems like, or the days, and that case will be closed and got off of parole, and we're all just ready to be a happy family.
That is amazing. That is amazing how God orchestrated Thanksgiving, how God orchestrated now your birthday present, which
great present.
Yeah, you don't need anything else.
No. So.
And that is for your 5-year-old daughter.
That's for my 5-year-old daughter.
Which was the reason why the social services came to the house and took your daughter, which brought you to your knees, and now. What an amazing story.
Yeah, she's definitely my hero, so.
Beautiful little girl. Yeah. I mean, my daughter and his daughter play together. I mean, that's just insane. And I just have to, give John some, props, if you will, that if I had not seen the Lord moving in him and his acceptance and willingness to do what it takes. I mean, he's getting all sorts of benefits from his efforts in following the Lord and doing the right thing, just as I had, and I knew it is possible. So I seen that in him, and I had not one hesitation to become friends with him, because I knew that he was following the Lord, and the Lord had him like the Lord had me. And so therefore I knew I could trust him, which was a big thing. It's one thing to make an amends and to know that, okay, I can call him and say hi, but to fully trust him with my daughter, or any instance, to drive up here with him, to 100% trust him. He's got a lot of good stuff going on with the social services program. They're wanting him to shine, to be an example, which he is an example.
Well, I can see that here now. And the time that I had a chance when we sat down and had coffee and wrote out the outline for the show, I saw that right then and there. I mean, I couldn't even speak. I couldn't even take enough notes because the story was just so powerful. And again, all glory be to God.
Amen.
Because he just, I mean, even from my perspective, I got to see how God was working and letting you guys know, I'm here. I'm here. Just keep surrendering and you'll keep getting
blessings. Blessings after blessings.
Yes.
I mean, week after week, day after day.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming on the show. Thank you guys for just your faithfulness, and now your story of the work that God has done in your lives. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now you guys are in a step study together. I know that you're one of the leaders there, and I'm pretty sure you're coming right along to start
Yes, he
leading
is.
your own. And
Yes, he is.
that's an amazing thing. We always like to end with a question. The premise of the show is joy in my house and the joy that we have. I can already see the joy, but I would like to just ask you, John, what does joy in my house mean to you at this moment in time, this part of your life now?
Definitely what joy in the house would mean to me is just that the Lord shine everywhere I go, even through difficulties and trials, and he just makes the best of it, brings the joy to the house, so
Yeah,
you know.
very well said. John, what does joy in my house mean to you?
Travis.
Yes. Because I was still thinking of John.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, like I said, the story is so strong. The story
Yeah.
is so strong.
Well, joy in my house. When you say that, I think of this show, and I think what a great ministry opportunity to give. It's just joy in my house means share God's glory. That's what it means to me, to be able to share God's work in our lives to others. That's what this is for. This is why I did it, was to give God glory in the redemption of two lives who had no hope, who have now sky's the limit. We have faith today, and joy in our house.
That's amazing.
So
That's amazing to have that faithfulness out of such tragic circumstances, out of such hardships and challenges and obstacles, and for you guys to still walk into that meeting, for you to initially walk in the meeting, join a step study because of your desperation to find that peace, and for you to walk in there not only by yourself though, you walked in there with your wife.
Right.
And I know that your wife has an amazing testimony, who was on the show previously.
yes.
And your wife must have an amazing testimony as well.
Oh, she does, and now Travis and Heidi are or Trisha and Heidi are great friends.
So
But it's really God's family right there.
Yes.
It really
We
is.
are all family, all children and
And you
brothers
guys-
of God.
You guys will always be there for one another because of, like you said, maybe back then it was the most horrific thing. You almost passing, you having to serve a jail sentence, but now the amazing grace and the amazing story that you have to share with other people to bring encouragement and hope. Because I think a lot of people have these circumstances at home, but they don't choose the route that you choose. They don't choose to surrender.
Right.
I think so. I thank you guys for your faithfulness. I thank you guys for you coming on the show and being transparent and sharing some of the heavy things in your lives, but also some of the praise that you guys have.
Yeah.
Some of the praise. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is John and Travis here. They're sharing the story of real forgiveness, ladies and gentlemen. Forgiveness that sometimes as human beings we hold on to that resentment and that hurts for so long that it festers in us. But they chose another route. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in My House. I want you to join us next week. We're going to have Jeremy Stapp from the Stapp Foundation come on the show and talk about his foundation with veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in My House. I want you guys to remember to follow us on Facebook /Joy in My House. I want you to tweet us on Twitter /Joy in My House. Join us next week on www.latalklive.com. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in My House, and we'll see you next week live at noon.
Fake.
All the praises to the Holy One. All the praises to your precious Son, who is like the Lord Almighty, powerful indeed. He points his mighty finger, commands the mountains and the sea. And I will tell of the great things he's done. I'll shout out loud, I am is the one. Jump up and shout his praises. Everybody sing hallelujah. Turn around and tell your neighbors all the great things God has done for ya. The waves are crashing and a praising. The trees are swaying in the breezes.